Hey everybody, welcome in for another episode of NJCAA All Access. Happy Leap Day. I'm Zach McKinstry.
I'm Alexa Wesselman, and we have a lot going on all across the NJCAA because region tournaments are starting.
Yeah, a lot of excitement. Division III selection shows coming up. By the time we film next week, we'll have even more selection shows for you. But we start today with our junior college basketball scoreboard. March starts tomorrow, but college basketball buzz picks up right now with conference and region tournaments around the corner. Division I men's basketball had a couple of big upsets this week, primarily number 3 Daytona State, who were dealt only their second loss of the year by number 16 East Florida State. Big win for the Titans, but they weren't the only ranked upset. Number 20 Moberly Area defeated Mineral Area thanks to 24 points and 5 triples from Achille Evans. Number 6 Odessa was knocked off on the road as the unranked Broncos of New Mexico Military won 62-53 in Roswell. And not an upset, but a survival for number 2 Barton as they escape Garden City CC on this game winner.
Jones will key it in. Mose looking for it, gets it. 7 seconds. Has it right side. Driving. Euro steps through the lane. High out the window. It's in! Mose with 1.5 buckets!
More surprises on the women's side as number 10 McLennan adds a huge win over the number 2 team in the country, Collin County. It was never going to be easy for the High Lassies, who watched a 14-point fourth quarter lead evaporate with this clutch 3 from Mackenzie Buss, who tied the game at 52 with less than a minute left. McLennan responded swiftly, however, with Jalea Ingram, who splashes this tough mid-range jumper to retake the lead by 2. 20 seconds to go now, and it's Buss again, driving the baseline, but no room to get a shot off, and McLennan gets it back, forcing the Cougars to foul and sending the High Lassies to the line to add to the lead. They nail both, and the Cougars' lead grew to 4, but free throws on the other end cut it back to 2 points. McLennan now has the lead and the ball with 7 seconds left, but an over and back off the inbound gives the number 2 squad another chance. Just like that, Collin could win it on a 3 or tie it on a 2. They stick with their playmaker, Mackenzie Buss, who rumbles down the right side with 5 seconds, gets the shot off in time, but it bounces out, and McLennan earns a massive win on the road. The Cougars would get a second chance at a game winner the following contest against Grayson, and this time it went differently. The buzzer beaters don't stop in D1. The Spoon River Snappers shock the D2 number 4 Parkland Cobras at the horn on this bucket. And in a battle of top 10 teams, number 5 Des Moines Area defeats number 8 Kirkwood 73-63. On to D2 women's basketball. Number 11 Parkland boat raced the Lincoln Land Loggers 70-46. And unranked Jefferson joins the upset party. They defeat number 7 North Central Missouri 69-60. D3 men's enjoyed a top 10 upset as well. Fulton Montgomery showed off the offense, putting up 105 on number 3 Herkimer, likely resulting in a big jump in the rankings. It really is the best time of year if you're a college basketball fan. And as I mentioned off the top, bracket reveals and selection shows are on the way. They'll be revealed as soon as next week as we unveil the seeds for our national championships. A couple of important regular season finales on the way as well. Alexa?
We are getting down to the last few weeks of basketball as regional tournaments start, which means we are also closer to the national championship. But for the next week, we still have a few very high-profile basketball games to pay attention to. Let's start with D1 men's. Number 15 Hutchinson versus number 1 Barton. The newly crowned number 1 Barton. They only have one loss all the way back on November 29th to Cowley. Barton claimed a victory over Hutch already this season on January 17th. So if Hutchinson gets the revenge win, it will severely impact Barton's status. Staying in D1 men's basketball, number 3 Triton versus number 13 Indian Hills. Triton got the win over Indian Hills on January 31st, and this is another situation where if Indian Hills can pull the upset, Triton's season will be impacted greatly. In D1 women's basketball, number 6 Northwest Florida versus number 2 Gulf Coast. These teams have already played twice. The first time, if you remember, undefeated Northwest Florida was ranked number 1, and Gulf Coast took them down in a big upset. They've played since then, with Gulf Coast taking the win again, but Gulf Coast has suffered a few losses recently, so we'll see if a complete sweep of Northwest Florida is in their future for this season. In D2 women's basketball, number 9 Parkland versus receiving votes Lakeland. Parkland took the win on February 3rd against Lakeland when they were ranked 11th and 12th respectively. This is a great upset opportunity for Lakeland and a chance to get their name back in the Casper conversation. And it is that time of year already. D3 is in regional tournament play, and by the end of this weekend, we'll know the guaranteed teams going to Rochester with 4 at-large selections to be made by the committees. We will have the bracket reveals to see who is ranked where and what teams earned those at-large selections right here on the NJCAA network, Wednesday, March 6th, with D3 men's at 2 p.m. Eastern and D3 women's at 3 p.m. Eastern. Stay tuned. We've got more for NJCAA All Access after this break.
Intensity fuels these champion student athletes to greatness. Zurich Insurance is proud to be the official provider of student athlete insurance for the National Junior College Athletic Association. Throughout the highs, we cheer along to their screams of victory. Throughout the lows, we support them through their tears of defeat. Zurich Insurance, helping student athletes play the sport they love.
I have a little birthday message for you from someone too.
I heard you really love basketball. You're a good shooter and a good dribbler. Happy birthday, MJ, and I hope you enjoy your day.
Thank you. You're welcome.
We are back on NJCAA All Access, and it's time to look at the best of the best in Division III baseball. These are the true grinders that play without scholarship, and the talent pool is proof that you can make it from anywhere. Here's a look at the top 5 in the first in-season poll of the year, which came out this week. 4 of these 5 teams made the national tournament in Tennessee last year, with the outlier being Caldwell Tech. But after a 36-5 campaign last year, the Cobras look to bounce back in Region 10. Diving into the top 3 finishers last year, and no better place to start than with the defending champs, RCSJ Gloucester. Last year's team was loaded with big names, and a couple made the transition to the highest level of college sports. Scotty Young lit up pitching last year, driving in 68 runs in 55 games as an NJCAA All-American, and committed to Rutgers, where the 6'6" juniors Scarlet Knights are out to a 6-1 start. And then the NJCAA Division III Player of the Year last year, Aaron Graber, is an everyday starter with the Blue Hens at the University of Delaware. After hitting 500, yes, 500 in 57 games played last year, the outfielder has 7 RBIs in 7 games played at the Division I level. So even though they lost some big names in their championship run from last campaign, the Roadrunners' talent pool has not dried up. Through 6 games this year, they are 5th in the country in slugging percentage with a .561 rate and have mashed 6 home runs and 31 extra base hits. And they're doing that with a new look lineup. They brought in a lot of new faces ready to make a splash, and one of the biggest additions this summer was starting shortstop Caden Doolin, who got plenty of experience with the Bryant Bulldogs last year. The sophomore is already committed to the Pittsburgh Panthers for next year, and through 6 games is hitting .435 and reaching base at a .536 clip for RCSJ Gloucester. The problem is their competition is getting better too, and the runners-up from last year in Dallas College Eastfield are men on a mission. The Harvester Bees have already played a bunch of NJCAA Division I competition, winning a series over the Howard College Hawks to kick off February. They returned an 8-game starter last year in Marcus Peters, along with some dynamic hitters. River Kurz played in 54 games as a freshman, hitting .332. And this is Peyton Poole, who made the most of his 31 games last year, hitting 9 homers, 15 extra base hits, and 29 RBIs. He's out to a scorching start this year, earning DAC Hitter of the Week last week. And the third-place finishers last season, Northern Essex, are coming off one of the best seasons in their long history, finishing 38-8 with 4 All-Americans. These are the 2 pitchers who received that honor. Jairo Vasquez, who signed a deal this offseason to play professional baseball in the Frontier League, and Tristan Ciampa, who committed to St. Bonaventure's after a 10-1 season with a 72 strikeout to 16 walk ratio last year. The Knights open their season next weekend against Lansing, trying to make it back to Tennessee for the 2nd straight year. Final preview is on the way next week as we look at the best teams in Division III softball, so be sure to look out for that one. Quick commercial break coming up, but on the other side, we've got rankings and JUCO gyms, so stay with us on NJCAA All Access.
What makes a life a good one? Is it our adventures? Or the friends we find along the way? Is it the challenges we conquer together? Maybe it's the people's lives we touch every single day. So, what makes a life a good one? You'll have to figure that one out for yourself.
Welcome back to NJCAA All Access. We had some changes on the rankings, so let's get started with D1 men's. A new number 1. Barton takes over the top spot after previous number 1 South Plains received their first loss of the season to Howard last week. Salt Lake jumping to 4th. Daytona State falls to 7th. Mineral Area down to 8th. Odessa to 12th. Moberly up to 16th. And a big fall for Trinity Valley. In D2 men's, National Park remains number 1. Parkland falls to 9th, and a new name this week, Meade State coming in at 20th. In D3 men's basketball, Brookdale still leading the way, ranked 1st. Just a few swaps up and down the rankings, but Genesee making their way back into the rankings at 15th. Over in D1 women's basketball, Hutchinson remains number 1 with Gulf Coast moving into 2nd. Collin falls to 4th. McLennan, they keep rising. They're up to 8th this week. College of Southern Idaho and Casper make some moves into 16th and 17th. And a new name at 25th, Chattanooga State. In D2 women's basketball, Johnson County still claiming that top spot. And the top 5 don't change. North Central Missouri falls to 10th, Lincoln Land falls to 14th, and welcome to the rankings, Sullivan County in at 20th. And we wrap it up with D3 women's basketball, Rochester still number 1, Onondaga moving into 4th, Jefferson moving down to 6th, and those are the biggest changes. Not a lot happening with D3 women's basketball this week. It's time for Junior College Gems, and Zach's got some good ones on deck for you.
Thanks to everybody that continues submitting highlights. We've had a lot of great plays submitted over the last few weeks, and it's not stopping today. 4 more dazzling JUCO gyms get the spotlight, and for the second straight week, it's the NEMCC Tigers. Northeast Mississippi might be the dunk capital of JUCO. Last week it was Josh Holman. This week it's Caleb Parr. Soars through the paint and throws down a hammer against the Holmes Bulldogs. Make sure not to hit your head on the rim, young fella. Tigers win on the road 73-66. More slams in Indian Hills. Look at Will Cassie doing it himself with a mean crossover, and then he floats through the air to get the poster with the right hand against Southeastern. Warriors are balling. They've won 8 straight. Back to Mississippi. It's Pearl River at the first half horn. Day Hunter catapults this one from behind midcourt and celebrates the long 3 in another game against Holmes. The Bulldogs on the wrong end of a couple of highlights as this one made SportsCenter top 10 last week. Last gym of the week comes in softball. Jensen Elder has been dealing for Crowder College to start the year. In this one, the Rough Riders are taking on Northern Oklahoma, and Elder's 8 strikeouts lead her to a perfect game. 5 innings of work, no hits or walks, 8 strikeouts, and a mercy rule victory for Crowder, who's already up to 13 wins this season. And Jensen Elder is the star that caps off our junior college gyms.
Just love seeing the different athletes all across the NJCAA every week showing their stuff.
Yeah, a lot of talented players out there. And a reminder, selection shows on the way. Bracket reveals coming out within the next week. So be on the lookout for those on the NJCAA network. But as far as all access, that's all we got for you today. Thanks for tuning in. We'll see you next Thursday, and take care.